Hey everyone, Voro here with another flying tutorial. This one is going to be on Crosswind. We're going to talk mostly about Crosswind landings. We'll talk a little bit about Crosswind flying, but mostly Crosswind landings. So, when you're flying in a Crosswind, your rudder is going to be a big part of your life. Your rudder is going to be keeping you straight, banking is going to be keeping you straight, and you don't really worry about ground speed. It's all about airspeed. You always want to keep your airspeed, so when you're flying in the wind, usually the way I like to do is I like to fly a little faster, because when you're going downwind, your ground speed might be, let's say, 40 miles an hour, but your airspeed might only be 20, and you could still tip stall. Even though your ground speed is very high, your airspeed is low. So we're going to talk about keeping your airspeed up, regardless of ground speed. So right now the wind is coming straight across from my left wing to my right, and you'll notice that as soon as I start to taxi, my nose is going to turn left. The nose of the plane always wants to go into the wind due to the aerodynamics of it. So as soon as we take off, as soon as we go forward, we can see it starting to turn a little bit into the wind. So we're going to just correct it with the rudder. There it goes. Keeping it straight, lifting off, and you can see exactly how much rudder I'm using just to keep it straight. Pull the gears up. Now ideally, you really do not want to be flying in a crosswind very often. It's great practice, but as far as doing it very often, it's not the best idea unless you're just using it for practice. I personally love to fly in a crosswind just because it teaches you different techniques, teaches you how to keep the plane straight. So we're just going to go around here, keep our airspeed up, and we're going to keep it straight with the runway by using a little bit of rudder to mix in to keep the nose forward. A thing to keep in mind is when you're going downwind, like I explained before, your airspeed is going to be low compared to your ground speed. Always keep that in mind. If on the ground you see it hauling, it may be going really fast for ground speed, but for airspeed, it's not going very fast, and if you make a sharp turn, you very easily could tip stall it. So be very cautious of that. Alright, so now we're going to talk about landing, and we're going to be talking about the crabbing technique. Basically what this is, put the gears down, point the nose into the wind. We're going to be pointing the nose in the wind's direction and keeping it straight with the rudder, and basically going across the runway at an angle. We're going to practice keeping it straight. We're not going to touch the ground. We're just going to practice keeping it straight. As you can see, the nose is pointed way to the left, a good 30 to 45 degrees. However, it's still going straight down the runway. This is due to the crosswind. And that's what you want to practice. You want to practice keeping the rudder and keeping the nose angled and worrying about the direction. The direction may be straight and the nose may be angled. We're worrying about the direction. Even right now you can see the nose is still angled even on almost full throttle. It's still angled into the wind and it's still going straight. So a good thing to practice, and I'll demonstrate that right now, is to crab from left to right, turn around and then crab from right to left. Not touching down any of the approaches, it's just going to be practicing aiming. So we're going to do that once more, and you can see by the line on the runway of how straight it's actually staying. Now we're just going to make a bank, turn around and come this way, and be careful of tip stalls turning away from the wind. Into the wind, don't worry about them too much, but when you're going with the wind, like I said, your airspeed is going to be very low. Tip stalls occur a lot easier that way. You can see the nose is still pointed in the wind's direction. We're just kind of sliding. Now this next time we're going to come around and we're going to touch our back wheels, and then our nose gear is going to come down, and right before our nose gear comes down, we're going to hit a full right rudder to straighten the nose. So we're just going to come down, make our crab approach, decrease throttle, come on down, touch the back wheels, rudder, and come on down. And then roll to a stop. Let's do that one more, taking off. using a lot of rudder and lifting off. Now, flying in the wind is going to vary between every single plane. The larger and lighter the airplane, the more the wind is going to affect it. So if you get, like, let's say a little foamy, like a Cessna foamy, the wind is going to affect it a fair amount. But then if you get a jet, something that's very aerodynamic, the wind isn't going to worry about it too much. A plane like this is pretty much right in the middle. It affects it, but it doesn't do too much. So it's a good one to practice with. So we're going to come down one more time, going to crab, put the gears down. Touch the back wheels, rudder, and come on down to a stop. Simple as that. Alright everyone, that concludes this tutorial video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't forget to subscribe, and have fun flying.